What are your views on this NCAA policy, and do you think it does a good job with treating and diagnosing athletes?
I think the policy is a little vague. It doesn't put a lot of pressure onto, it puts some pressure onto the schools, but not a whole lot. I think that it could really be refined. It almost actually puts the pressure onto the student athlete to tell what their symptoms are, and as someone who's had 5 concussions, I can tell you that as soon as you get a concussion, you really aren't the person to be saying to be making the judgment call of whether or not you should keep playing. Which you have to tell your symptoms and be honest and be truthful. But when you have a concussion, you're like hazy and kind of out of it, and you don't know if it's just you or if you're really concussed or what's wrong. So you're really not in a good place to make a decision at that point.
3. How has getting numerous concussions affected you?
It's affected a lot of stuff. It's affected my processing speed. I think actually after my 2nd and my 4th concussion, they were pretty serious. I just was slower of speech. I mean, even I had the tip of the tongue syndrome a lot, where I'm thinking of a word and I almost can say it, but I can't quite think of it. My personality was a little darker for a little while. Sort of onset a depression almost, in that I couldn't play and I couldn't exercise, but then I also didn't feel like myself because I couldn't.
What advice do you have for future NCAA athletes and how to prevent concussions?
I kept playing through them, and that was really dumb. It makes the symptoms a lot worse, and so I guess one suggestion that I would give is to give yourself a rule and just say if I think I have a concussion, it takes more courage to step out than it does to stay in the game. So I'll be courageous enough, to stop playing. Or maybe during different half times, I got concussed in the first half a few times, and I had my teammates just saying, "Hey, Caitlin."
Do you think this policy could be improved? If so, what would you change to improve it?
Yeah, so I do think it can be improved. I would make it more detailed. I would put the pressure onto the athletic programs of the different schools. I think that the coaches and the trainers, even though they do have responsibility for us and they take responsibility for collegiate athletes, I think the responsibility should really rest more squarely on them because they are older, they are professionals, and they should be looking out for their student athletes anyways, which I think they do. But sometimes in the middle of the game, you get kind of caught up in this question of how much do I want to win versus how much risk am I taking for my players. And obviously, we hope that a coach or a trainer wouldn't make a decision that was more in favor of winning than keeping people safe. But I think that it's really easy to sort of think they'll be fine, don't worry about it, nothing bad is going to happen, when really they have no control over that. But what they do have control over is sitting a player out or not. I'm Caitlin Ball, and I played soccer for the University of North Carolina.